Make a motion to jump into the certification? Okay, ignore that, okay. I will. All right, please stand. State your name.
Eric Bosler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Missouri,
of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties of school director
discharge the duties of school director
in and for the St. Genevieve County R2 School District,
the St. Genevieve County R2 School District,
the County of St. Genevieve,
the County of St. Genevieve,
and the State of Missouri,
and the State of Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to the law.
according to law.
Congratulations.
Next on the agenda is board policy review. I have in your packet policy BBA, school board powers and duties, policy BCB, board officers, and policy BBF, school board member ethics. Election of the officers. President's first.
I'd like to make a motion for Eric Bosler, President.
I have a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion that nomination cease and Eric Balzer be elected by acclamation as president of the St. Genevieve County R2 Board of Education.
Wait a minute.
There's actually not a second one. First motion.
Right, there's not. I need to figure it out.
I got it.
You're ahead of me. You got it? Okay. Are we on A or B?
Okay.
Yeah, wait a minute. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Bosler. On to Vice President.
I make a motion to nominate Josh Gettinger.
Okay.
May I read it?
Yes.
Hang on, go to find it. Sorry.
I do this once a year.
Yeah, and it's different every time. Motion that nominations cease and that Josh Gettinger be elected by acclamation as Vice President of the St. Genevieve County R2 Board of Education. And now we make the motion.
That is the motion.
Yes.
I need a second.
Second.
Who was it?
That was the motion.
So I made the motion and then Roger second. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you.
On to election of a delegate for MSBA.
A motion for Michael
reorganizational meeting and immediately convene the regular open session.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And next we have, we'll come back to monthly report. Motion to approve the, looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as items added.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Governor's proclamations. With us this evening is Representative Wolfen. You might want to explain the process that you went through. Give it more sense.
Sure. So, Mr. Kingery had reached out to me, obviously, a little after the passing of Darla. And at the House of Representatives, we have an opportunity to basically provide a resolution for citizens of Missouri that are just outstanding citizens, those who either are with us or in passing. And there was no better candidate to have a resolution like this, I think, such as Darla. And so it was the very least of what we could do to create this resolution and give it to the family. And because obviously she was very well loved, not only by her family, but by the staff here at Bloomsdale Elementary. And if you guys would allow me and I guess indulge me, if I could have the family come up here with me, I would like to read you this resolution and that I can give to you guys for her. There's no easy way of saying it, but to hopefully help in the process of healing that I know you guys are still on. So could I have the family please come join me up here? All right, so the resolution is as follows. It says, whereas the members of the House of Representatives pause with heavy hearts to recognize Darla Barr, an esteemed member of the St. Genevieve community who passed on December 19, 2025. And whereas Darla Barr was born to proud and loving parents, Edmund and Mary Ann Heverly Falk, on June 14, 1975. Whereas Darla Barr never met a stranger and lived a life filled with love, laughter, and compassion for all who were privileged to meet her. Whereas a valued member of the staff of Bloomsdale Elementary School in Bloomsdale, Missouri, Darla Barr cherished the time she spent with students and enjoyed reading, laughing until she cried, and sharing her warmth, kindness, and genuine spirit with countless individuals. Whereas Darla Barr will be deeply missed by her loving husband, Jeffrey Barr, her daughters, Hannah Clayton Mueller Barr, and Molly Barr, her mother, Mary Ann Heverly Falk, her brother, Daryl and Amy Falk, her sisters, Lynette Falk, and Stacy Derek Gay, as well as several nieces, nephews, cousins, and many dear friends. Whereas preceded in death by her father, Edmund Falk, Darla Barr will be remembered fondly by all of those who knew and loved her. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the House of Representatives, 103rd General Assembly, join in paying a final tribute to Darla Barr, a remarkable woman of peace and kindness. Thank you guys for allowing me to do this.
April edition of the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report. As school districts navigate budget season, there are a lot of variables that are uncertain at the moment. MSBA's Senior Director of School Finance, Linda Quinley, says that as boards begin work sessions and discussions, they should have this approach.
One of the most important things we can be doing right now is thinking long-term financially. I believe with my whole heart that we're headed into the 3 toughest financial years we've seen in a very long time in Missouri related to funding. It's going to be about revenue challenges. So we really encourage you to be looking long-term during the budget process, 3, 4, and 5 years out, so that you can make sure that your district is stable financially and safe and secure for as long as possible.
Long-term thinking requires a look at revenue coming from federal, state, and local levels.
I wanted to talk to you really specifically today about what's happening related to funding at the state level and the local level, particularly thinking long-term. We mentioned those local impacts going forward, those bills that have happened, new legislation this year. We don't know how that's going to come out. April elections, whether your levies pass or don't pass, we're seeing several Prop C elections, some debt service transfer elections out there. So good luck on those. I hope those have all passed maybe by the time you see this video. But also we're seeing Prop C decline. At the state level, the state adequacy target is declining, classroom trust fund is declining, and the federal allocations, remember last year they were late. In addition to being late, they were also stagnant. And what that means for us is if you've been paying 10 teachers on title in recent years, and you don't get an increase in that title funding, then the cost of their step on the salary schedule, the cost of their improvement for insurance, title's not covering it any longer because it's the same money you had last year, but the teacher costs more than they did before. So those dollars now have to be picked up locally. But let's take a peek at the state because that's where the real challenge is right now. I've given you some history there on the 3 primary categories. I won't read those numbers to you across the top, but look forward down to the 25-26. Originally, for the state adequacy target this year, which is abbreviated there as SAT, again, we love our acronyms, the budget this year that the state produced said we were going to get $7,145 was going to be the state adequacy target per WADA. Now, they're saying that's only going to be $69.64. So we are almost $200 short this year, about $180 short this year of what they told us last spring when budgets were established. Already, we have heard from DESE to expect that $69.64 to drop to $67.42 next year. That's another $220. So we are consistently seeing that number decline.
Linda had far too much important information to fit into this version of the board report. To see her full 8-minute presentation on the key things to know for budgeting this year and beyond, visit the MSBA website or the MSBA YouTube channel to see the extended board report. School finance is a complicated topic. Watch for the MSBA weekly and Legislative Voice newsletters for the most recent developments that affect districts and for information about upcoming webinars and other learning opportunities. Make plans now to attend MSBA's Summer Summit June 14th through the 16th, which is back at the Lake of the Ozarks this year. Join school board members and leaders from across Missouri to learn about emerging trends and hot topics in education. Also, be sure your board is represented at the June Delegate Assembly to be held in conjunction with the Summer Summit. Delegates will be electing state officers for the coming year at that meeting. The summit concludes with a day of workshops on finance for new leaders, new board member training, and the board president's workshop. Registration information for the Summer Summit is posted on the MSBA website. And last but certainly not least, if you were elected to your school board for the first time this month, welcome to school board service. Missouri law requires all school board members to receive 18.5 hours of training within their first 12 months of service. MSBA's new board member training fulfills this requirement and provides the foundation for becoming an effective board member. MSBA Director of Board Development Lisa Nieder says that although that sounds like a lot of training, the leadership development team has worked to make it as convenient as possible.
The training is broken into 2 parts. For Phase 1, you'll complete a series of online modules at your own pace on your own time. These modules are designed to increase your knowledge of important topics related to board service. In Phase 2, the remaining 8 hours of your training will be done live with other board members, where you'll discuss and apply the information you learned online. You have the choice to do this in person at locations around the state or virtually over Zoom. Training topics include board operations, school finance, student achievement, school law, and more. Once you complete your training, you'll be certified and ready to serve your community effectively on the school board. Plus, you'll help your district fulfill an accreditation requirement.
The training is free for all new board members. Check the MSBA website for a schedule of training opportunities along with registration information. That's it for this month. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and we'll see you in May for the next MSBA Board Report.
Report of the superintendent. First up, we have kindergarten enrollment numbers. You can see here that at St. Genevieve Elementary, we had 68 scheduled screenings. I think that says the 14th, is that correct? Dr. Gay? Yes. Dr. Sulzer?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that the 14th?
Yes, yes it was.
And then the next Saturday, they had 3 during the Bloomsdale screening process, so that's a total of 71. While we have the number of screenings scheduled, all of the students don't always get screened. So a total of 67 were screened, and we're anticipating about 84 students for kindergarten enrollment next year at St. John Elementary. For Bloomsdale Elementary, we had a total of 39 scheduled screenings. 32 of them were screened, and we're anticipating about 50 student enrollment at Bloomsdale Elementary for next school year. Next on the superintendent's report is the end of the 25-26 school year. The last day of school will be Thursday, May 21st. We'll have an early dismissal at 1 p.m. And then certified staff will have a work day, checkout day on Friday, May 22nd. Prom was April 11th. It was awful early this year, as I was putting that on here. Successful, no issues.
Great.
New location, worked really well with St. John KC Hall. Graduation will be Saturday, May 16th. Peggy J. Johnson Gymnasium at 7 p.m. this year. And we'll continue to coordinate which track event is going to overlap.
Sectionals.
Sectionals will overlap.
We haven't seen that schedule yet, and we were hopeful that it was going to be closer, and it is at Dexter. So it will be about a 2-hour drive for our athletes coming back. So we'll coordinate schedules and see to make sure that those kids. Yep.
We're holding 7 for now.
For now. Retirement and recognition banquets, Friday, May 8th at St. Genevieve Elks Lodge. St. Genevieve Elks Lodge at 6 p.m. And then we have a distinguished board member certification. Mrs. Martha Riesinger received her distinguished board member certification. There are
It's a lot to do.
Congratulations to Ms. Martha Riesinger on earning her distinguished board member certification, the Missouri School Boards Association's highest honor for ongoing professional development. This achievement reflects her commitment to effective governance, continuous learning, and exemplary leadership. Through this accomplishment, Mrs. Riesinger not only enhances her own effectiveness, but also sets a standard of excellence for the board. We appreciate her dedicated service to the St. Genevieve R2 School District and her continued commitment to Missouri's public school students. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. All about you guys.
And finally, on the superintendent's report are the principal reports.
All right, I'm going to tell a little bit about early childhood here. So parents and teachers wrapped up kindergarten registration in March. We presented those numbers last month, and then they rolled right into early childhood enrollment this month. So just last week, we had all of our future little dragons coming in for our 3- and 4-year-old classrooms. And so currently, I just kind of put some numbers on here so you can see changes for next year. We have 41 students that we're sending off to kindergarten at St. John Elementary, and we have 46 new kids coming into the center next year. So a little bit higher than what we are at this year. We like to see that. But we also usually have a few that enroll late in the
Thursday, but we replaced them with full-time kids, then that makes a difference. But right now, Bloomsdale is scheduled to have 18 4-year-olds only. So historically, that room hasn't filled up with 4-year-olds, and we've had openings for 3-year-olds. But Nasir and I chatted, and she has 18 4-year-olds, so we didn't really feel like offering those last few spots to 1 or 2 3-year-olds would be appropriate, just because those developmental levels. So we do have a few openings at Bloomsdale right now for children 1 year before kindergarten, but her numbers are looking great. And then here at the center, we have 100 students coming right now that are enrolled for next year, 72 in our 3 and 4-year-old classrooms, and 28 returning ECSE. And I don't know if you remember, but in December when we always talk about numbers, there's usually a pretty big jump from August to December, and then again to now, because we continue to qualify those early childhood special education students. So that number typically starts out in the 20s. By the end of the year, we're closer to 50 students that we're servicing. So our numbers are definitely looking a little higher for next year, so that's good. These are just some snaps of things that have happened in the last few months. We just want to give a big shout out. We participated in the All Together Art Show. It was the first year that early childhood was included in that. And we're lucky to say that 2 of the winners came from the early childhood building. So for it was preschool, kindergarten, and 1st grade, we're all in kind of the same pool. We have Allie Gack here that she got 1st place overall in her age group, and Jackson McNeil got 3rd. So we really represented well there. They were pretty excited about their something sweets was maybe the theme. So we have a cupcake and ice cream, and then they all got a gift certificate. So huge thank you to Becky Kime for including us this year. The kids really enjoyed it. So here on the bottom, Officer Cusinelli has stopped by with Mario, his retired service dog. The kids just love when he stops by and finding out what he's doing in retirement and all the ball play he has now when he's off and not having to work. But he always lines them up and lets them pet him, and they just really enjoy him swinging in. So we love when Officer Cusinelli comes by. And then pictures over here are just all the fun we've been having now that the weather's nice. The kids have all really been excited about the bugs that are coming out. So today we even put some in little containers and brought them inside to our center time and explored them, so you can see just some bugs, some water play, and all of the fun that we've been enjoying with this great weather. Bragging Dragons, we have quite a few since the last time I presented. Iris Adams, Ezekiel Albertson, Haven Bader, Eleanor Barr, Easton Bishop, Gabriel Childs, Grayson Elders, Lindley Fleek, Allie Gack, Ridge Huff, Ashton Jamerson, Wesley LeClaire, Annabelle Lohman, Lena Meeks, Montgomery Moon, Pierce Rapp, Ainsley Reed, Harley Reppel, Andrew Rhodes, Aubrey Rowland, Lucy Roosler, and Delaney Thompson. So all of these friends were nominated as a Bragging Dragon either for accomplishing some sort of goal that they've set, maybe behaviorally or academically, or just a teacher that noticed them being super kind and helpful and following those class commitments. So a big shout out to them for helping keep the center safe and fun. And then our faculty and staff of the month for March, we're ending up our April voting now, so I'll have that for you next month, was Ms. Heather Ayler. She is an early childhood special education teacher. Some of the things that her colleagues said were that she's kind, patient, joyful, she builds strong, meaningful relationships with every child, creates a safe, supportive environment where students feel valued and loved, goes above and beyond to advocate for student success, actively engages with students and builds connections through play and interaction. She's calm, dependable, and always willing to support others, and makes a lasting positive impact on students and the school community. And I 100% vouch for this. Sometimes Heather will be on her lunch or her plan time, and I'll pass her, and she's with a kid that's not even her student. And I'm like, Heather, what are you up to? And she's like, I don't know, I just thought this little guy looked like he needed a little help, or this little friend looked like she might want, one thing or the other. So she's just very patient and kind and willing to help the other teachers with ideas and strategies, even if they're not her own students. So she's fabulous. We all love Miss Heather and go to her for advice. And then just some things I wanted you to know and put on your calendar. We currently are still doing our graduations the way we have in the past. We might explore ways to kind of combine them all in the future. But right now, St. John Early Childhood preschool graduation, so those are our full-time tuition-based students. Their graduation is Thursday, May 7th. It is over at the PAC, just as it has been in the past. Early childhood special education graduation will be here in the multi-purpose room on Tuesday the 12th. We're kind of stepping away from the performance piece of graduation to kind of offer a graduation that fits their unique needs. And then Bloomsdale preschool graduation is Thursday, May 14th at the Bloomsdale gym, and that is also at 6. Yeah. I hope to see you there. And I'll send an email, so we'll send you an invite.
several birds of prey down, including a bald eagle, and gave the kids a chance to just see them up close and interact with them and learn all about what makes these creatures unique and why they're special. It was an awesome time. The kids loved it. I'm learning one of my favorite pictures from all these things are just like the reaction shots, you know, watching the participation of the kids to taking a minute to look away from what's going on and see the kids' faces, and they were lighting up. Early this week, we did a fundraiser to raise some money for Maya Rottler, and we gave kids a chance to buy tattoos, and we had cups set out with all of the staff's faces on them so the kids could buy them and put the tattoos in the cups of the corresponding teacher they wanted to see tattooed. And then on Friday, teachers took some time to apply all of those, and Jesse set up a red carpet in the gym. The kids were down there. We had the music bumping, and everybody took a chance to walk down the carpet and show off their tats. And it was undoubtedly the loudest that gym has ever been. They were going wild.
Who had the most tattoos?
Yes, with 140 tattoos, I was the winner of most tattoos that day. It only took like 45 minutes to apply. So.
And right now, I got a video of Mrs. Rice.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. There are some great videos out there. Yeah. We raised over $1,000 in that fundraiser too. Just couldn't believe it. The kids ate it up. We had an amazing time. We've also started. Kim Rapp is spearheading this. There's a program called the Missouri Green Schools Initiative, and it starts out with. I know you can't read any of these, but it's just kind of an example here. We've got a self-assessment, a little multi-page self-assessment of where the school stands right now, as far as physical layout, programs, waste management, some district level things too that are happening in the building, and then just gives us an idea where we are and where some places are that we can grow. We kind of chose collaboratively with our connection here with the Green Schools to start our focus on composting. So our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, what they're doing is every day we have members of the Green team who hang out where the kids dump their trays, and they redirect all, right now, just fruits and vegetables, so it's very simple. Only fruits and vegetables go into the compost bins. They take them out to our compost pile, which is 200 yards from the school along our tree line there, so we're not worried about critters or anything with that either. They take that out, and with our SMART goals here, it's talking about, we took some baseline data about how many garbage bags our custodians currently took out prior to starting this, and we're just gathering data on how much we're saving as far as garbage just going into the trash versus becoming compost. And then as over the years, as this turns into compost, there are lessons with that too, what we can do there. So it's a program that will just continue to grow, but that's step 1. And then just a couple kind of random shots I was in. These are pictures from Kim Brown's room. I was in there as they were doing some historical research lessons, and the kids did an awesome job making these huge posters with the pictures and just some facts about America. And this is literally the only picture I could find from our kindergarten registration day. I don't know how none of us took any pictures that day. It was a great day. We had a really good turnout. Just a super smooth event this year. It went really, really well. I put a couple items on here that are happening between now and the next meeting where if you're interested, come and check them out. Especially this one on the 27th at 2 o'clock. SEMA Steel Drum Band featuring Jacob Kirchner, Bloomsdale alumni. The whole steel drum band is coming. So it's like a 20-piece steel drum orchestra. It's going to be an awesome, awesome thing. So 2 o'clock on that day, wear your dancing shoes if you go. These are our positive office referrals for the month. Levi Karen, Isaac Faith, Isabella Recton, Mia Garcia, Griffin Sheldon, Rage Faulkner, Iva Wiseman, and Madison Jeruga. And then our staff and teacher of the month. Our staff of the month is Nurse Kelly. Her nomination said Nurse Kelly has settled into her new profession with excellence. She balances love for the kids and joy with just the right amount of tough love. Thank you, Kelly, for all you do and have already done this year. And then Ashley Gettinger, kindergarten teacher. This nomination said Ashley has been so helpful in getting me settled in and comfortable in the building. She's always eager to help and lends a hand wherever she can. And another noteworthy item, many of you were there for it, but she also received the Chamber of Commerce Legacy Mentor Award. So it's given out to 2 educators, one from the public schools, and she received it this year. And it's just a well-deserved honor for sure. And it's a special night celebrating her too. That's all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Here we are. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so St. John Elementary, we've had quite an exciting month. We had some art winners the past month. We had some 5th graders, Avery Clark and Madeline Portwood. They participated with Mrs. Schnitzler and the VFW Women's Auxiliary in an art contest, and those 2 ladies won with their art submissions. We also had little Ronan Wibbenmeyer. He actually won the Artsonia Artist of the Week. Mrs. Schnitzler is really good about, students upload their work to Artsonia, and then like parents can get on, they do their artwork, they can buy, purchase like different items as well as an option. So he was actually one of the contest winners for Artist of the Week. He was pretty excited about that. So he won we heard about it for quite some time. It was great, I loved it. He won a Blick Art Supplies gift certificate for his artwork. All right, Mrs. Buxton's class has been working really hard on a garden. They are super pumped about this. Those kiddos have been down there weeding, tending the garden daily. Not only are they getting fresh air and getting outside and getting to enjoy the sunlight, she has them measuring. They were out there with rulers the other day when I was down there, measuring the growth of their plants. They are intense in this garden, and it's fabulous to watch. So they are loving every minute of it, and so intrigued by all the excitement. The plan is they have all kinds of vegetables, and then there's a progression of other additional vegetables they plan to plant toward the end of the season that will carry on through ESY. So that's pretty exciting for those kiddos. We held our K2 Family Fun Night recently. Last week, I believe, we had a luau theme. So that was kind of fun. So we actually had like a picnic dinner as well with hot dogs, chips, and goodies, lemonade, and I think it was received pretty exciting for our families. We had just under about 200 students and their families join for that evening, so that was a good time. Coach Kreitler had our annual Kids Heart Challenge. These are our winners. They obviously had great participation. They had the highest contribution. They earned prizes, and then Coach had some extra gym time for them too, and they really look forward to that each and every year. A lot of participants. We had a lot of positive office referrals this month as well, and I was given 1 page. So this was really strategic on my part. So here's who we have. We have Brady Shoup, Bryce Howell, Carter Brown, Carter Fingers had 2, Claire Clinton, Cohen Grass, Colin Ladd, Connor Roth, Ellie Schmelsley, Hunter Klein, Isabella Eichhorn, Jacob Schweiss, James Kelly, Jackson Aki, Jet Gettinger, Lily Knoll, Ruby Wibbenmeyer, Silas Whaley, Tinley Gettinger, Beta Albertson, Autumn Albertson, Walker Schweiss, Joseph Chimento, Caliber Hudson, Kaylee Deck, Keegan had 2, Leah Mills, Eli Kurtz, Landon Bosler, Colton Thompson, Owen Williams had 2, Gus Ketting, and Carson Capps, and Carter Mueller. This little crew down here, they were pretty fun. They kind of helped out in a joint effort. So I asked them, do you want separate photos or would you like one together? Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do it together. We did the job together. We're going to have our pictures together. So they were pretty pumped about that. So, all right. So we have our March feature teacher and super staff. So our feature teacher for March is Audra Kingery, our K2 counselor. Some of the things that were said about Audra by our staff and faculty was that she is the most caring counselor we've ever met. She's the first to volunteer to help out anyone with and gives anyone who needs a helping hand. Apologies. She's a source of life that is not only for our students' lives but ours as well. Audra is a real team player, and we're very thankful to have her in our building. Our super staff is Miss Jennifer Fowler, our school nurse. Some of the things that our staff said about Jenny was that she is a fantastic addition to our staff. always smiling, which she is all the time. She's incredibly happy. It's great to see. She's a friendly face to see. She's always willing to help. She makes amazing connections, builds positive relationships with our students and staff, and she's a great addition to our graduate family as well. Our April feature teacher, or our April super staff was a duo. Stephanie Drury and Amelia Wibbemeyer are administrative assistants, and they are really the backbone. They do amazing things for our building. Steph and Amelia are beyond deserving of the super staff award, according to their peers. They keep things running smoothly each and every day. Map testing is just a little more enjoyable with their smiling faces and organized system for checking out our tickets. They are amazing, and we are so lucky to have you, is what our staff members said about them.
All right, good evening. How are you guys? I feel like I end up in April a lot, so I feel like I talk to you about these trips quite often, so I apologize. I will tell you what's crazy to me is this is year 4 of us doing these grade level field trips, and we had some teachers who came to us with the crazy idea of let's take our kids on a field trip like they do in elementary, the whole grade level, not just the kids that are involved in a certain club or things like that. And I took it a step further and said let's make it crazier and do it all in the same day. And everyone has worked really well with us, and that's been successful for 4 years. But the coolest thing is we have struggled to find a good trip for our 7th grade. This was try 4 this year. We kept trying to find a trip that fit and fit well. I think we found it. So we were all feeling really good after this one. And honestly, the most successful field trip day we've had. If any of you read anything that I share out, typically there's a story at the end of the day of one turkey, right? One turkey that kind of, a teacher struggled with that day. Not one turkey, the entire day. And for all of us to be out of the building, out of our element is quite a success. So our 6th graders continue to go to the zoo. That's a pretty, even though you imagine the zoo being large, it's a pretty controlled environment because they stay with their advisors all day. So 6th grade navigated the zoo and had a great day. Our 7th grade, Mrs. Diamond came up with this lovely idea. They went ice skating, and then they went to Brentwood Park, and I've never even heard of Brentwood Park. And I've now been told that I must go because it was such an awesome park and they had such a great day. The ice skating, our kids all did it. Our kids all tried. I mean, our teachers tried. I got videos and pictures all day long that were hysterical because it's not the trip I was on. And I did have a few coach them up conversations with some kiddos who were sowing their oats toward the end of the year before we went on these trips. And the first video I got was one of those kiddos, and Dr. Mercer said, "Who knew? He is a gazelle on skates." I mean, backwards, spinning around teachers. It was, so he was the star of the show instead of the other way, so that was a good success as well. But I think you would be amazed at how many of our kids have never been ice skating. So the whole idea of these trips are experiences, and experiences outside of St. John as well. So huge success, and we're super pumped to go back there next year. And 8th grade continued. We visited the City Museum again, and that's that opportunity where independence gets a little greater with every year. As Josh is looking at me, you have 2 years before it's scary, because they are allowed to stay in groups of 3, and we just have adults everywhere, and they meet back for lunch when they're supposed to. They meet back to leave. We didn't have to chase anybody down. Like it's pretty awesome. So it's just a really successful day. And it's one of those things like at the end of the day, I'm just so thankful because the people that it takes to make it happen, the buses, the fact that we have drivers, that we can get 9 buses out of here and back here. And our nurses do a great job like outfitting all of our teachers. Our cafeteria staff loads us up before we leave. By 7:30, all of our vans are packed and ready to go. And that list could go on and on and on, but that's kind of just the cool thing. It's a really big group effort, but the success and the experiences that come out of it are, just something we can't match. I did have one other quick story, then I will move on to another slides in there quick. But we have a kiddo who, as a 6th grader, we discussed that the middle school was like his living puppet because he has to touch everything and almost everything goes in his mouth. And 6th grade was tough. And and 7th grade was a little less tough. And if you would have told me in 6th grade that I would have said, sure, you can go to City Museum. Never in a million years. And dude went to City Museum, and he did it. And I saw him with 2, because you have stand groups of 3. I saw him with 2 boys, and he was kind of wandering about. I don't know if you've ever been to City Museum, but there's all the things to touch. And I was like, oh geez, I'm gonna have to step in. He's just gonna have to stay with me. And this kid, the other kid with him, looked at me and said, and I was like, all right. And he did have this. And they took on the day and had a great day. So thank you, because that's a big part. I mean, we budget for that. There's a lot of pieces in play there. So we're very thankful we get to do that. Our drama and design class, they just finished up Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I have heard Oompa Loompa lines over and over again. So if you had the opportunity to experience it, they did a wonderful job. And it's pretty impressive what they could pull together by just having a class during the school day. So very proud of those kiddos. On the right are some of our collaborative projects through our FACS class, which we share out pretty regularly, because that is definitely a student, community, and family favorite, I would say. But it allows us to collaborate, usually with kindergarten, sometimes 1st grade. And this time we actually had the opportunity to collaborate. These pictures, I believe, are from St. John Elementary, but just recently we also were able to collaborate with Bloomsdale Elementary, and they delivered those stuffed animals that the kids had colored, and then our kids cut out the sign and sew. So it's a really cool project that I know Ms. Woodward's very proud of as well. Our Dragons on Fire. Okay, we have Anna Springcamper, Caitlin Montemagno, Shaylin Wolk, Kimberly Burkbeegler, Taylor Ellett, Jacob Hughes, Tessa Schutz, and Keaton James. And there's actually many more. We're just knee deep in math testing, so teachers even keep telling me, I need to get that your way. So there's actually many more as well. And then today, we were able to recognize Mrs. Hogemiller as our Spotlight member. That's what we call that, our Spotlight member of the month. And if you know her, you are not surprised to see that she did not let us take her picture by herself. We slid in right before they started math testing, and she said, well, I need my kids right now. So she just had a few in there testing and made sure they hopped in. A few things they had to say were she's awesome, she's compassionate, she's innovative, she puts extra effort with individual students and doing what is best for kids. She does an excellent job of thinking outside the box to provide unique and challenging learning opportunities for every student in her class. I won't speak into it at length, but she is currently involved with an extremely out-of-the-box situation where she's collaborating with elementary, and I think it's going to pay off in dividends, and it's a pretty awesome thing that she was willing to just take on, and also prepare her students to take on as well, because our kids are handling it very well as well. And this is what we have ahead. We are actually, this is week 2 of math testing right now, so it feels like we're already about halfway. I don't know if our special education department would agree, but in the general ed setting, we're about halfway. And so we have ELA next week, and we have our spring band concert coming up this Sunday. And then you can look on down through. We do, of course, have Teacher Appreciation Week, which means that I'm really excited of planning all kinds of antics for our teachers so that they have a great week that week. So that is what's going on for middle school. Thanks, guys.
All right, good evening, guys. I'm going to turn it over to these guys here in just a second, but before we do so, I want to talk a little bit about, I know that Isla and Allison are going to talk about it as well, but we had a chance to take our principal's advisor here to the Capitol in Jeff City, and we got the full tour, got a chance to be introduced out on the floor at the House of Representatives. A really cool moment for our students. But the neatest part for me was watching them advocate for public education. So the whole ride up, they're going and they're doing research on local bills, state bills that are coming out that impact public education. And so when they get up there, they're then telling their story about their experiences within the high school, and then they're directly talking about bills that they feel like are bad for public education. And it was just a really cool moment to see our kids taking that initiative to be able to share their story, share their perspective, and talk about our school district, talk about their experiences here and how positive they are, but then also turn around and advocate for public education. So I wanted to highlight the work that they're doing, and a lot of times it's behind the scenes, and I know they weren't going to do it justice and brag on themselves, but it was such a cool moment to see them interacting and engaging with our legislators and to see them in the Capitol, and people just walking up and genuinely wanting to know, what are you doing here? Like, you're students, why are you in the Capitol? Most of the time it's adults that are there, and so it's a really neat moment. And then also our FFA had an opportunity to go and spend some time in the Capitol as well, and Representative Wolfen sent me a picture of them from the Capitol down in the House floor as well. So really cool to see our kids just up and engaging and being a part of that. So without further ado, Allison and Isla are going to take it away for the rest of the presentation. Thank you, guys.
Good evening, guys. Good evening. Okay, so I'm going to discuss our ELK student of the month and our Rotary student. Our ELK student was Abigail Woodard, and our Rotary student of the month was Brianna Bach. Our positive office referrals are William Elder, Trinity Monroe, Abigail Woodard, Ava Zerwig, Chloe Wiener, Jacob Brizette, Alex Bosler, Eli Bennett, Luke Ferranto, Emma Gegg, Aaliyah Filer, Kylie Hayes, Joseph Brotler, and Shane Woods. And then our teacher of the month was Ms. Jacqueline Oshner, and this is what the student had to say about her. I am honored to nominate this teacher for Teacher of the Month. She has made a lasting impact on my life beyond the classroom. Throughout this school year, she's been my consistent source of support, encouragement, and understanding. No matter what I struggle with, academically or personal issues, she's always been there to listen, help, and remind me that I am capable of getting through anything. There it is. She makes learning feel meaningful and enjoyable, especially in a subject I never thought I'd appreciate. Her kindness and dedication have not only helped me grow as a student, but also a person. She helps motivate me to try my best and be confident. What makes her so special is the way she genuinely cares. She doesn't just teach her content, she connects, inspires, and loves her students. Having her there for me, believing in me, and the fact that she never gives up makes all the difference. She deserves this recognition because she changes students' view of learning and changes lives, including mine. Okay, some new news. So we had prom last weekend. Greatest thing ever. A lot better than last year because I wasn't feeling it. Our theme was A Night Under the Stars, and our king was Evan Coyne, and our queen was Tika Knobloch. And Costume 27 did an amazing job. It is so good. I love it so much. Anyway, the second picture next to the king and queen is our anatomy students got to go to the cadaver lab at SLU. The students from St. Genevieve High School visited St. Louis University Medicine in the cadaver lab, and they get like a real world experience of human anatomy and what human anatomy looks like in like real life. They were guided by medical students that are attending SLU, and they explored body systems. They got to like touch, and yeah, I heard it was really good stuff. So that is the
Next, our high school hosted its first alumni healthcare panel, where 19 professionals, many of them were alumni from SGHS. They shared insights about careers in fields like nursing, pharmacy, and radiology. The event gave students valuable real-world perspectives and connections as they explore future opportunities in healthcare. VFW Art Auxiliary Contest. Several of our St. Genevieve High School students earned awards in the VFW Auxiliary 2210 Patriotic Art Contest, recognizing their creativity and expression of patriotism. Caroline Roth and Olivia Bays, they won first place and will advance to the state competition after receiving top honors. Stuff that we did. No, you're good. Okay. You're fine. We, the Principal's Advisory Group, we went to the Capitol, Jefferson City. We got to learn more about the legislature. We got to talk to representatives, go inside the House of Representatives, and we tried to go into the Senate, but they were all busy. And yeah, it was just really fun. We got to talk to Representative Wolfen. He gave us a tour, and it was great. This is also something that we thought of, these little like kind of tents for our outdoor classrooms, especially since they're becoming more and more popular now that the weather's starting to get like sunnier and nicer and stuff like that. And yeah.
And in that middle picture, we had Union, right? Union? Okay. We had Union PAG group come down, and they are just getting started with their PAG, and we got to hear all about their school, and we also got to share ideas with them on how to get their voice out there, because they informed us that their student voice is not as powerful
where they will take on Valley Catholic at 7:30 p.m. That's the rivalry. Oh yeah, that is tonight. For track, we have had many successes, and we have been thriving in both girls and boys track. Our first athlete of the week is Paul Taylor, who broke the record in shot put, discus, and javelin, and the second athlete of the week, me. In pole vault, I took fourth at the Old Settlement, and I went AP, which is not my highest record. My actual highest record is 9'6", and I did that at the very first meet this year, and I was hoping to clear higher this year, but the DeSoto meet had other plans, as you can tell. So this is great. And that's it. Yes.
Wonderful news. Thank you all. Next, we have unfinished business. Instructional, presentation, high school act.
Okay, so we would really want to talk to you guys about like our entire program, but I did promise Dr. Ford that I'd get you home before midnight because we could talk forever about it. So we're just going to kind of hit the high points on it. We actually kind of used a slideshow that we had just talked to the kids about whenever they were building their own schedule just a couple weeks ago, so that they had an idea of how their day could be with us. So first hour in my classroom is an ag management class. It's kind of a new class. It's a full year course, and the kids can receive personal finance embedded credit with it. And it also, for next year, we have a course scheduled with dual credit with CMO for 3 hours as well. So this class is more of a farm management type of thing, but it's really more of an ag business and getting the kids kind of ready for, like, we're working on small business and how to develop that, everything from advertising to customer complaints. And so just kind of getting them ready for when they want to take over later on. My second hour class then is a turf and landscape class, another full year course, and this one is also an embedded credit for science. So they would have to take Ag Science 1, Ag Science 2, and then turf and landscape, and that would count for their science credit. It's also a CMO dual credit class with them if they choose to take that for 3 hours. We do everything from Plan ID, which is usually in the winter time whenever it's too cold to work outside. We do a lot of construction, installing, and maintaining a lot of the beds around campus. So this is actually just a couple weeks ago at the elementary playground, which I think we disrupted a lot of ants or something during that time. So we're slowly working on all the beds around campus. And then I have 2 hours that I teach Ag Science 2 classes. It's a full year course. There's nothing special with that one. It's more for my sophomores. Ag Science 1, she'll talk about here in a second, is more of an FFA leadership type of class. And then it's also really heavy on animal science. And Ag Science 2 is still heavy on leadership and getting kids comfortable with public speaking, doing parliamentary procedure, and then we're more heavily on plant and soil science in that class. Fourth hour in my classroom then is animal science. It's also a full year class, and they can choose to use this one as their science credit too for that 3-for-1. They can also choose to get CMO, dual credit class for that for 3 hours, or an advanced class on livestock. We cover everything from reproduction management to animal health, husbandry, so a lot of different things throughout more large animals on that too.
This is my 5th hour. I'll get to my other hours later. I just kind of threw my hours in randomly. Probably should have done that a little better. So 5th hour is fish and wildlife. That's probably one of my favorite classes because especially with my background. It's a full year course. It is a science credit. So you just prepare students for careers in wildlife conservation foundation, so we do natural resources. Right now, we're actually learning how to tie fly fishing little lures. I've never done this, so I'm learning this too, so it's really fun to learn it with the kids. Fish ID, bird ID. We also go over hunter education, even if they've had it already. We go over it again just because it is a good refresher for them. I have my dad come in, he does the skill session, so it's always fun. They also do wood burning, just kind of a fun little project for them to work on. Is it mine, Matthew?
No, it's, 7th hour also, then I have ag construction. This is more of a senior level class, so the kids that are like, when are we going to shop? If they want to take ag construction, we're in the shop every day. Whether it's projects they build for themselves, projects that get handed to us, people that come in and say, hey, I need this built. So most of what we do is welding projects. There's a few wood projects, but for the big stuff, it's welding projects.
Yeah, for this one. First hour is Discovery Ag 1, so this is middle school classes. My first semester I will have 2 courses of it, so I'll do first and 4th hour. This is just to get the kids hopefully interested in ag, and hopefully then they will want to take it in high school. We get like kind of the basics of national organization, like the history. We do our main like animal science, so that's going to be beef and swine production, and then we get into a little bit of our plant science. 4th hour, this is again just a semester class. It's always 2nd semester, 4th hour. Discovery Ag 2. This is where we get more into our rest of our animal science, so like our poultry, dairy cattle, sheep, goats. We also do a little bit of hunter safety, a little bit of like fish ID, bird, and then we actually do a little bit of wood projects. So 2nd, 3rd, and 7th hour is my Ag 1. So kind of like Anna said, it's full year course. They're an FFA. They get a lot of leadership skills, like we go over record books, how to keep records, national favorization, and then very heavy on our animal science, and then also go in the shop and learn how to weld, which is really fun for them to do.
Some new things going on. We did get a greenhouse. This is with the agriculture education DESI 50/50 grant. So we actually purchased it 2 years ago. It's now up, and then the interior was purchased just this last summer with another year's grant with the 50/50 for the tables and everything. It's being wired right now, and then we've got to do some things to get it on correctly, but it will be up and ready for the fall. So I'm very excited. So, and I'm excited to see all of the new plant science things that are going on in the elementaries too. Just some highlights of some of our FFA kids just lately. So we did have a dairy foods team that plays first at districts, and it's a really difficult contest. And we had 4 kids that picked up on the material really quickly. And so I'm really proud of them. Whenever they found out the results, I think I was more excited than they were, because I've never had a first place dairy food. So just because it's so hard. So I was really proud of these guys. Jacob Sulcer was named as our Area 15 in our area star as placement, and he and his parents went up to Columbia 2 weekends ago, and he had to have a really quick interview for that position. And then last weekend when we were at convention, him and
Thank you.
You guys are quite involved in all that. Next is property updates.
We went down this afternoon and Bailey put the drone up and took some video of what the wrestling facility looks like inside. It's coming along nicely. Progress continues on interior framing and drywall, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Mudding and taping is almost wrapped up. Flooring is scheduled to begin at the end of April. Concrete sidewalks should be going in starting this coming week because the HVAC units were put in the back of the building. Site work and asphalt are planned after Memorial Day. Wall pads are ready for installation, as are cabinets. Locker rooms are prepped for drop ceilings, and some lighting was going in when we were down there. And wrestling mats are in storage and ready for install as well. The project remains on track, and we are scheduled to do a punch list on July 15th. The sinkhole that was identified one random week when we were walking down there has been remediated. Police came out and filled it with pretty large stone, and then progressively smaller stone as it got higher. Dug it out pretty deep, and we're waiting for it to get smoothed out so we can start telling if it's sinking or not.
It's great.
Planning is underway for the transition of our existing spaces. And Dr. Nix and some coaches are compiling an equipment list for our weight room, which will be relocated to the current wrestling room. And I didn't think that wrestling room was that much bigger than the weight room, but it's really about twice the size of the weight room, so it's going to be a nice upgrade. The architects came down, as did Brock Miller Construction, and we kind of worked through what needed to be done in those spaces. And we're going to get with some equipment manufacturers, give them the specs of the spaces to put together a plan for what will fit in there and what they recommend to go in there. We plan to have new and multifunctional equipment, new flooring and updated lighting, some exposed ceilings, wall pads and mirrors, maybe some HVAC updates. And the current weight room space is going to be repurposed into a multi-purpose room. What we needed for visitor locker rooms, instead of taking over the girls' locker room and kicking them out as soon as they get done with practice, we're going to transition this into a locker room space for visiting teams. And then when it's not being utilized as that in the evenings during the day, Tess had a great idea to make it more of a multifunctional room where you can do yoga in there, you can do aerobics in there.
Agility, dots, ladders.
Yeah. So it was a great idea. She put a drawing together and came up with it, and everybody was on board with it. So we just started the process of that for progress. Hopefully that will be done by the start of school as well.
How are we doing on money? What's left? We're getting leftovers. Expect too much? Just right?
So I don't want to toot my own horn. Dr. Fleeg and I were very strategic with drawing down those funds initially and investing those funds initially, and that was in 2022. So we've been reaping the benefits of that during a time in our country where it was good to have investments. So our investments allowed us to have between $700,000 and $800,000 that we are spending on these facilities that we didn't know if we were going to have the money for. So we were really frugal, and that value engineering that we did on each project to save money on each project is really paying off now, because we're able to pick up all those little projects and little pieces that we weren't sure that we were going to get to, but now I think we're going to be able to get to. We included the lighting, football field lighting, baseball, softball field lighting in there as well. So we were able to do some projects that we were anticipating having to cut. So we're
kind of refresh your memory since it's been over a year since we talked. Some tier behavior supports that LE has. We have breaks for kids. We provide SEL instruction for not only the SPED kiddos, but non-SPED as well. Scaffolded schedule supports, which we'll talk more about. Check-in, check-out, positive reinforcement. I am the ISS person as well. Kiddos can come in if they need a quiet space to work for testing. I have a group of about 10 kids that do a soft start in my room, so from about 7:15 in the morning until the bell rings, we have 10 kids that it's just better for them to be in a smaller environment, less noise, you know, that kind of thing, and they eat breakfast in there as well. We work on self-regulation and coping skills. We have lots of kids on behavior charts that we also track that data so we can use that to make decisions for them. Provide visuals and supports to help not only the kids but the classroom teachers. Sometimes just a few pictures is enough that we can keep the kids in the classroom. Individualized consequences for some kids. Collaborating with target team, which includes Ms. Huck and myself, Mr. Kingery, Ms. Fritsch, Ms. Jessie, Kara, Jessica Braun, Steph Gegg, and a lot of times either Janet or Jamie will join us. And then other ongoing communication with teachers and parents to ensure students' medications are effective and appropriate to help the outcome for students. BLE tier behavior students by numbers this year, total students we've had is 48. We've dismissed 8 students total this year from tier 2, meaning they no longer need the supports, and we have 2 more that are, I'm just hanging on, like they haven't really had to come to me, but I'm kind of holding on to make sure that, you know, they're good to let go. 2 of those kiddos previously had an IEP, and not only did they come off the IEP, but they've come off of behavior support as well, so that's pretty exciting for them. I currently have 38 on our list, 18 non-SPED and 20 SPED, but 5 of those SPED were not SPED at the beginning of the year, so 5 of those kiddos have new IEPs. And it was very helpful with the behavior, having the data from last year and this year to be able to provide and say, I think we're at a spot that, you know, we need to see if there's a disability, not just through extra help. In addition to our tier behavior students, we see an average of 13 other students in the reflection room either for ISS or quiet space. Come on.
Yeah. We put this together just because we thought it was crazy. Once we looked at the amount of hours, when the kids come in and out of the reflection room, Mrs. Ram and her aide, Mrs. Jacob, Mrs. Smith, it depends, she got married this year, the kids change their name every day. So they keep a log of what kids come in, how long they stay in there, you know, where we're at, if we're at a yellow or an orange or a red, you know. And so the hours, once you see it put down on paper, is pretty wild. So if you just take a look there and see that March was kind of a hard month for us, but we're getting past that and we're in the final stretch here. But we just thought that you guys should see that this is really being used how we need it in our building.
Can you define what the reflection room is? When is it being used? Is this teacher sending kids? Is this kids choosing to come on their own?
Most of our kids are not sent by teachers. I don't even know that I've had one kid this year, like, because they're color-coded. Like, we have a color code system. It's blue as if the teacher needs a break. I don't think we've had one blue this year. Ashton, do you? No. But then we go by, so green would be like if the kid requests a break. And that's the ultimate goal, is that we can get the kids to the point that they can request their own, say, you know what, I'm in a spot, I need a break. Because as adults, that's what we do. We have white, which is like your scheduled breaks, which is where we typically start with kids. And then we have 3 different levels of escalations. Like yellow, they're starting to get escalated. It might be our kiddos that are kind of being a little squirrely, need a movement break, just, you know, that kind of thing. Orange is almost out of control, and red would be your like out of control meltdowns, things like that. They stay varying times just depending on the need. Like the goal, if they're just coming for a quick break, is 10 minutes. But obviously with numbers like this, and when I went through and I looked at all the hours after March, I was like, what happened? Like, I'm like, what, am I terrible at my job? Because I felt like it was not great. And then I looked at the hours, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. Like, the kids, you know, had a lot of needs in March, so. Scaffolded schedule. We kind of started this last year, and like as we've gone through it, have put more and more structure and like more, figured out what works, what doesn't work, how to transition, things like that. So students who are consistently struggling to function in the regular classroom can be put on a scaffolded schedule. If they have an IEP, they still go to time for their sped minutes, and then they would start the rest of the day with me in the room. And as they meet different goals, they work their way out, which is 4 days, so they have to have 4 good days. It really is 3 good days, and then on the 4th day, if they've had good, then they move up to the next step.
And that's kind of what this ladder is showing over here. I feel I see you trying to look at it. And it's based off each individual kid. We had actually started at first with it being very set and like everybody's going to go to specials first. And then we realized real fast that wasn't working for everyone. So all that's removable. It's specials, lunch, then recess, then 1 subject in the classroom, 2 subjects until we're back into the classroom full time.
And actually, like we recently had one of our students mention that we kept noticing that he was having a bad day right when he was ready to move to lunch. And after a big meltdown, we talked with him and we did, ask, are you nervous to go to the cafeteria? Like, are you nervous about going to lunch? And he said, yeah. Like, he felt comfortable going to recess because if, he was getting in trouble, he could walk away from the situation. But in the cafeteria, you can't just get up and walk out. So we went ahead and changed his schedule or his ladder around, and it's been good. So it's kind of nice that the kids can kind of advocate for themselves too and say, this is what we need, or I'm nervous about this. In the scaffolded schedule, kind of the purpose of having that starting all in one spot is we can control the environment. Like I can't control what goes on in the general ed classroom. We can provide lots and lots of positive reinforcement, which allows us to have those hard conversations with kids. It's like 8 positives to every 1 negative you're supposed to have, especially with the challenging kids. So having all of that positive reinforcement allows us to be able to have those hard conversations and work through the behaviors, and then still come and hug us after the fact. And then we also work on academic, social, emotional, behavioral supports and things like that, and the goal is to get them back in the classroom as quickly as possible. The successes with that this year, so totally in all, with including last year's kids, we've had 9 students on scaffolded schedules. 1 moved. 2 that were just in there this year are moved back in class all day and have been dismissed from Tier 2. 3 students are now back in class all day. 1 student's back lunch, recess, specials, and 3 subjects, so almost the whole day. 1 is a step under that, and then we have one of our kiddos transfer to Tier 3 in town, and then he's coming back to us in August. Some quick, overall program updates. The frequency of breaks with the kiddos that were taking them regularly has decreased by 58%, so some of those kids might have been in there 3 or 4 times, and now they're down to 1 or 2, or they might have been on 4 or 5 scheduled breaks, and now they're down to requesting. So that was good to see.
And their breaks also include things like we do have a trampoline, we have a punching bag, we have, I don't know what that thing is that they love. It's a Zoom ball. I know you guys know what I mean. You see it across the river and it makes that real loud sound. But then there's also other things like tabletop activities like kinetic stands and different things like that. So depending on the kid, depending on the situation, they come in for different things like that too.
And I have worked with the OTs and kind of made a concentration station. Yeah. There are some different activities that help kids with crossing the midline, which affects so much of their handwriting and other things like that, and regulation, like if you read research on it, like being able to cross the midline and different things like that helps a lot with regulation and balance. 50% of the students who were on a daily behavior chart are no longer on the one. A lot less data for me to track. This I actually just put in here today because I do the universal screeners for the building. I send them out. I code them and everything, and then we take it and look at it. And sometimes this helps us identify students that might need a little bit extra support, not only for their externalizing behaviors, but the ones that are keeping things in too. So that those are the kiddos that we're not seeing that have problems down the road, things like that. So after going through all of that, I looked at our tiered kids, and 22% showed a decrease in their externalizing behaviors this year, 14% in internalizing, and 31% showed a decrease in both. So 67% total of our tiered kids had a decrease in either internalizing, externalizing, or both, which is huge. Then we had 11% that didn't really show a decrease, but their scores were in normal limits. And those are your kids that have more of like the internalizing behaviors. And then we only had 22% that did not show a decrease in scores. They are in the abnormal range. And then looking at those kids, those are the ones that we can't control their home life. Parents take them off the meds or, switch meds, things like that. So the ones that we're still really working hard for.
This is our target team meetings. We meet monthly. That doesn't say we meet literally every day, all day. It feels like, and with Nate and Andrea, I mean, we are always having a conversation. But these are our team members, and what we kind of do during our target team meetings, we always start with celebrations, because typically with what we're doing, that's a hard thing to come up with sometimes. And then we talk about current students and any updates with them, including like all of our data points, if we need to change behavior charts, constantly texting Jessica or Kara, like, this one's not working, please help us do something different. And they come up and help us do that, because they're also there once a week too, to help us in that. And then any kind of recommendations or changes. And then we also have students to discuss that might come up in care team that we need to discuss and talk about if they need other kinds of supports and any kind of questions or concerns. And we just kind of did a summary of like how many kids we're talking about and recommendations, how many kids that were brought up to us to discuss, and the different celebrations that occur during that time. Also remember, we told you March was really hard, but we also had 6 celebrations in March, so that was the most.
That was at the beginning of March, though.
But 6 celebrations is 6 celebrations regardless. But that's just kind of how we do that, and we try to get through all these kids during those meetings too, because it's so important to make sure we're all on the same page and we're all making sure that everything's getting covered the best we can for all of the kids.
And then we have a few student success stories that we want to share. Student 1 is a 3rd grader who has been self-contained in a special education classroom since kindergarten. Previously, she was unable to safely navigate the building or to go to unstructured settings independently. She needed assistance walking down the hallway appropriately and getting to her destination. She struggled with accepting her own behaviors and the outcomes that come with those behaviors, and this came out as extreme verbal and physical dysregulations multiple times a week. Since using the tier room for sensory breaks and self-regulation strategies, she can now independently travel throughout the building and go to unstructured settings. She has gone to multiple dysregulations a week to just a few a month. She is able to regulate quicker and accept the outcomes of her actions more appropriately in order to return to learn.
Student 2 is a 4th grader, and she had some significant behavior issues since kindergarten. She hated school and everything about it and was not afraid to tell you that. And prior to having the reflection room classrooms, she were cleared on the regular due to her behavior. And her home life was in an uproar a lot due to her behavior at home as well. She used literally every single support that we can provide in Tier 2, and it worked for her. She was on a scaffolded schedule this year and last year, and then when we work on self-regulation, social skills, and then learning how to like actually feel her emotions and cope with how she feels about her emotions, she was communicating daily with her parents about her behavior and the other things that they were noticing at school, and we're finally able to get her diagnosed appropriately and then medicated appropriately as well. She's now back in the classroom full-time and has been recognized as being a good leader on several occasions, getting like a positive office referral a few times now.
This child is one of the kids that we were like, we have to have a behavior program for kids like this. Like, she was that child. Student 3 started on a scaffolded schedule back in October. At that time, he was having aggressive behaviors with tantrums more than 48% of the days that he was at school. He has worked hard on controlling his reaction to his emotions, but built up his work tolerance and is back in class full time. He is down to having aggressive behaviors or tantrums on fewer than 15% of days in attendance. And even when he has those rough moments, he's able to use self-regulation skills, calm himself, and return to class.
Student 4 was part of our Dragon Tales program that we used to have for about a year and a half, and then he transitioned back out to Bloomsdale and became a self-contained special education student. He's also one of those students that we were like, we need more for him too. Before being part of the tier program, again, multiple classrooms cleared numerous times a week. All of his learning took place in the special education classroom. He required support in all areas, all specials, recess, walking through the hall, everything you can imagine. Since we joined the tier program and he's worked on those self-regulation strategies, accepting and understanding other people's behavior as well as his own behaviors, and processing his feelings and the outcomes of all of those things. He uses the tier room for breaks and work time and some self-regulation strategies. Now he's back in his homeroom more than 50% of the day. He's able to go to unstructured settings in areas independently, and he requests to work with his peers, whereas before he would be like, no thank you, and go sit in a corner and not want to work with anyone. And then he frequently tells me all of the time, I can use my strategies to go do this if you'll let me. And so he is doing wonderful.
Student 5 is a second grader who has had behavior issues since kindergarten. She was often removed from her classroom due to aggressive behaviors towards other students. During her time in the tiered program, she received social emotional instruction, including coping strategies, was on a behavior chart and a scaffolded schedule. I communicated with her parents very closely regarding her medication and behavior so that they could talk with the doctor to get those right. And after 2 years of requiring a good deal of behavior support, she was able to be dismissed from the tiered program this year. So she's in class with electrical support. And this is our last update.
And student 6 was on a scaffolded schedule in the reflection room last year, and the work in his classroom was just a little too challenging for him, and he wasn't able to handle it appropriately, and he would frequently have meltdowns, disrupt the entire class, and have to be removed. After spending the remainder of last school year on a scaffolded schedule and then working on those missing skills that he was struggling with in the classroom, student 6 was able to not only go back to his class full time, he was also dismissed from tier 2 altogether this year.
Questions?
We can only do that because you guys are all students. So thank you.
You see the work. I got a question. So, are you gonna change anything like over this summer? Are you gonna say anything that, like, hey, this was great, or you've been doing this every month, essentially?
Yeah, and we did just go to the behavior conference in Kansas City and got some really great ideas from there that we're talking with Nate and Andrea about, and we're trying to come up with some different things. We're going to implement a little different things. I'm going more straight behavior next year, and that way we can collaborate more throughout the day. And if you haven't seen us work together, we're like the same brain.
Yeah.
I mean, quite literally. I say something and she's already saying it. So we're hoping that with those things, and we're going to be able to actually do more social emotional instruction with the kids. Like right now, those hours that you saw of the kids coming in, sometimes that is sitting down with the kid on the floor and discussing how our body feels when we're having certain emotions. So next year we're hoping to be able to do more instruction on that, since we'll both be able
Proactively.
to. Yes, instead of reactively. Yeah. We're doing that SEO instruction, but it's really not enough with the amount of kids that we ended up with this year. So now that we can both kind of tag team that, we're hoping that it's going to be a big part of it.
I guess some really creative, out of the box, behavior suggestions from that conference too.
Yeah.
That it was like, why did I think of this? I mean, it's pretty out of the box. So we're excited to
When you
try
see
some
us doing
things.
some little silly stuff next year, know that we're just trying it.
You may have seen a stick in ISS before.
It happens.
It worked.
Thank you very much for the update. Positive numbers.
You guys, this come at a perfect time to read that. This is something I took away from the conference of that. Great schools are built by programs. They're built by teachers who care deeply every single day. I just thought you all should hear that.
Hi, I'm Johnny Ash. Our fancy flyers.
Oh, good. Okay.
So this is just a little introduction about me, but to be honest, I'm really not good at bragging about myself. But this photo right here is something that's really important to me. And as time goes on, I feel like it means more to me. So this is like literally my first week at St. John Elementary last year in the Tier 3 classroom. And the two kiddos that I'm laying on the floor working with are now transitioned to tier 2 with me and spend a good portion of their day in the general education setting. So that just is a really good representation of me as a teacher, more so than all this other stuff. So how is the room utilized? Soft starts in the morning is a big one. It's kind of getting to the point where it's questioning whether or not they're that soft because it gets pretty crowded in there. But then we've been able to transition who's in there at what time and make it work. Emotional regulation, sensory needs, breaks. Most of our breaks are scheduled breaks and then student requested breaks as well. Scaffolded schedules with the tier 3 transitions, social emotional learning lessons. This is one of my favorite lessons that I did recently with some students. I got a pulsometer and we talked about what our body feels like and what our heart rate is like when we do our breathing exercises and use all of our strategies versus when we go and jump on the trampoline for 30 seconds. And that's kind of equivalent to how your body is feeling when you get angry or have a big emotional reaction. So they get to see that number and then also think about what it feels like in their body and recognize that. ISS and lunch and recess detention, and then work completion. So what's happening? I do meaningful mornings with a select few kids that have to have a longer soft start. So it's just a daily prompt each day of the week. This one I'm a little partial to because it says, think of one good thing in your life. One good thing in my life is Miss S. It makes me feel happy. Now, were they just trying to get on the side? Maybe, but it made me happy too. So student choice is a big thing for me. I'm currently working on my specialist degree and I'm doing my research on student choice specifically with behavior supports and interventions. So a lot of the students, I talk with them about what they want for their breaks, and then a lot of students also get to kind of choose if they're earning dollars, which is something that I kind of moved to when I saw it working really well in the tier 3 classroom. And then I had a select few students that the behavior charts were just further escalating them. If they got a red for that day or a sad face, like it just ruined the whole rest of the day. So this way they get to earn it as the day goes and it doesn't cause these big escalations. So they earn money and I have to be extra and add my face to everything. I've always wanted my face on a dollar bill. So. But my favorite is that my store is called CVS. My last name is S. So that is the Reflection Room Dollars and CVS. We also do restorative conversations, social stories. I really like working on the social stories for the lower functioning kiddos that come for ISS and lunch detentions and getting to teach, why we're in here and learning from our mistakes. I also like to, like I said, I like to put my face on things. So here's one of the break cards. It's got a little alien and it says I need space, that some of my kiddos, when they get so escalated that they can't use their words, they can just into tier 2 this year. So this is just a graph of the reflection room visits by month, just to show how much that it's being used. And then the walkie calls by month as well. And then the discipline data, I will leave to.
Yeah, I dropped that in our slideshow this week as well. It was interesting to me to just look at the data from August to March. How many students visited the reflection room on a monthly basis. I have all that there and how many actual students that is. So 18 was 115 visits of just those 18 kiddos. The radio calls I put in there too. Discipline referrals I thought was pretty interesting based on those tier 2 students. And I also put some of the consequences for those discipline referrals as well based on tier 2. And then I added our tier 3 discipline in there as well. And also like after that, where it says lunch detention and ISS, those are the kiddos that are not necessarily the tier 2, but those are additional students that Miss S works with as well when they are in ISS or lunch recess detention. So she does a fabulous job. So Bloomsdale, if you look at our numbers, 728 visits in March too. We had a rough month as well, so it wasn't just
So I asked some students for their input how the reflection room has helped them this year. Some students needed more prompting and questioning than others. So 5th grade students said it's helped me with my anger. I have a place to go to relax and think about things. A 3rd grade student said the reflection room makes me feel safe and helps calm my heart rate when I'm upset. And the 1st grade student said it helps me get my energy out, so when I go back to class, I feel good, but less energy, so I'm not wild. And then I got a few teacher input as well. The first one says, my students benefit greatly from going to the reflection room. It gives them an opportunity for a change of scenery, some movement, and a check-in with the teacher to reflect on how their day is going. They reset and return back to the classroom and are ready to learn again. And then the second one says, the reflection room has been an amazing tool for our students. I cannot say enough great things about that room and the work that Miss S is doing in there. She is incredibly patient and has so many skills and tools that help our students with emotional regulation. It is so nice to have the flexibility to have a room that is helpful for so many of our students. Our students look forward to going into the reflection room, and many of them talk about how happy they feel after leaving the room and how much it has helped them focus after leaving the room. The reflection room has truly been a game changer for SGE.
Dr. Taylor, I don't know what you're doing over there, but you broke our slide.
I'm sorry.
There's supposed to be a whole pool back there.
It was cooler.
Okay, real quick, so if you don't know the tier 3, I'm gonna do the talking.
I do all the talking in the
Miss
classroom.
G,
Not all the talking.
Miss G doesn't like getting up in front of people, but in the classroom, she's amazing. She talks loud and that, but I like the sound of her voice, so I'm good. I've also been a PE teacher and football coach for like 20 years. All right, so if you don't know what the tier 3 room is, I didn't know. I know now. It is a room that you guys put in last year, right? And Tiff got into it in March. Basically, when kids are struggling at Bloomsdale or at St. John Elementary and they just cannot be in a regular classroom or in tier 2 anymore, they come to us. Tables flip, chairs flip, things thrown at us, all kinds of stuff happened in that room. But I'm going to get to that later on. But that's the type of room it is. Okay, we just have all these kids that are, and they're not bad kids. They're awesome kids. Their medicine might have got changed. There's all kinds of factors that go into these kids. There's all kinds of stuff. That's what we work with every day. So I do want to show you these 2 pictures because I like them. So see that picture up there with the really cool white block faces? That was like years, months and months ago. If you see here the other day, we got all the white block faces sitting in line. Wonka. All right, I'm actually lying to you. That was taken the day before that picture. So But I did like this one. Tiff wasn't there that day, and we watched Wonka, and the reason I wanted to make sure I got this picture is because we read it in class. We read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The kids loved it. They loved the books that Tiff would sit down and would read. And yes, I was in there. I just sat back. When I get up and move around, they get all riled up. So
I like to integrate social skills into a novel unit versus just dumping social skills on them, because that usually ends up in escalation. So we got into Wonka. Of course, there's lots of bad kids in Wonka, and so that's where we developed a lot of skills and talked about a lot of social emotional things.
So this is a little quote, I guess you'd say, from Tiff. Our Tier 3 students have exceeded expectations, demonstrating meaningful growth not only academically, but in their ability to regulate emotions, improve attitudes, and build the stamina needed to engage in learning. They have faced significant challenges with resilience and determination and continue to make progress each day. That bottom part is actually unbelievably true. If you go to, yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm not going to read all these to you. These are, we had the kids, they also have white block names, which is weird. I don't know how they get white block faces and white block names, but these are things that we had the kids write for a year. So there's what the room, Tier 3 room is meant to them. This one right here, I really, if you knew this kid and saw his handwriting, this is from the other day. And we were doing vocab today in science, and I was looking at it, and I was just amazed at it because I flipped to the beginning of his binder and what it looked like at the beginning of this year to now. I mean, this kid really could not read, and so much work has been put in that, I mean, his handwriting is so much better. And he's still, I mean, it's not like he's reading at a real high level, but he's starting to see things he could never see before. This kid did not want to get out of the car last year.
He came in telling us that Dad makes more money than me, or you guys, so I don't need to learn how to read.
Yeah.
But I finally talked him into, but reading makes you even smarter, because he's gifted, so he is very bright. But I finally convinced him that reading just makes you brighter. So he's on board.
But he loves the classroom. He loves coming to school. This one right here, I'm going to point because this little guy right here can dance like MJ. When I tell you he can do a moonwalk, I'm telling you it's perfect. So you can go ahead and flip a couple more there, Mr. Taylor, or Dr. Taylor, sorry. Okay, so what we do is we put these little graphs together. We've got kids that started the year with us, and we have kids that were transitioned in during the year. This is our first grader who came to us right after Christmas. He was actually has done incredibly well. His behavior, he at the very beginning, it was new. He had a little bit of behavior problems, nothing real major or anything. But his growth, you can see his reading. He still struggles with reading. His reading. This, by the way, sorry. This is actually, well, I guess for him it would be.
It's baseline, yeah. We haven't finished.
We haven't finished with this, and when I get to the other
process
things,
of testing right now. So this is all December data as far as testing is concerned. Behavior data is fully updated across the quarters.
Yeah. So he has made significant gains in so many things. He still struggles with his speech. We work on that every day. He was in first grade. He is going back to Tier 2 over in Bloomsdale. So that's one of the kids that we are transitioning out. If you want to go ahead and flip another one there. Okay. This is actually two kids. Well, one kid is the graph. This one here, the very first sentence, is one of our students that was in the program in Tier 2 or Tier 3 last year and the beginning of this year. And we transitioned her out. She goes to Miss S during the day sometimes, but when I told my wife, who's an early childhood parent, that she was in the room, she's like, oh no, she screams all the time. And that still happens, but it's almost gone away. She did an amazing job in our room. She's transitioned out to Tier 2. She checks in with Miss S. Our other one where these are at, this is a tier or a second grader we got at the beginning of the quarter, right? And we've already seen definite gains in her behavior and in her grades. She didn't have a lot to deal with because she really struggles with focusing. Very, very, very hard. So we have to sit with her and work with her. So she's been with us since, but still we're seeing gains. The lines are all pointing up, that's the most important thing. Okay. Okay, third grade. Student on the left, that's this guy right here. Transitioned most of his day, plans to return only to tier sport, or he's going to return to tier 2 next year. He is actually also completely, he's going to be going back to Bloomsdale as well and transferring into tier 2 there. So that's another one we were able to work out of our tier 3 classroom. Student on the right showed significant growth, confident ability to transition to gifted. This is the one I was showing the picture about. Now we do have one little goof here. This line right here should be up around 100. I don't know why it's doing that. The line got lazy. I don't know. But it's supposed to be up here around 100.
And just for reference, I know you guys aren't in the classroom every day. Those are like annual typical growth. We have iReady diagnostics that we have to do beginning, middle, and end of the year. And that is the typical growth, how much they've reached of that typical growth. And this was done in December. So he reached his annual typical growth by December, and anything after that has been stretch growth, which is fantastic.
Yeah, actually,
because getting them to access academics was the first.
I should have told you to do this. You should have erased it or scribbled out the quarter 2, quarter 3, put quarter 2 here, because this is all just December. Everything's gone up since then. And our behavior stuff that we have here, we do a self-reflection sheet that each student has to do. They come to us, they sit down with Ms. G and myself, and they tell us how they think the day went. So was I respectful to other people? Did I do all my work? Did I have any behavior issues? That kind of stuff. And we sit down. Sometimes that's a struggle. Sometimes it's not. But we have them do it, hold themselves accountable. And I think it helps them to see that. I really do. But again, we saw the growth. Again, that one's supposed to be way up there. And so he'll be gone next year out of tier 3. And then that one will be back in tier 3. But he has already started all but one of our, well, the new one we got, and another. All of our students are now pushing out into other classes. Every single one of them. At the beginning of the year, every single student was in our room the whole day. They never went to recess, never went to lunch. I mean, they went to, they just didn't go to any classes. And now they're all pushing out except for 2. And one we just got like 2 weeks ago. All right. All right. This guy right here made a full transition. He's totally out of our room. He just comes and checks in at the end of the day. And that's the one that can do the moonwalk. When he first got out of class, he struggled a little bit, I think, with confidence and stuff, but I talked to his teachers, and he does really well. The students love him. He's an awesome kid. So that kind of goes with that. This one over here, yeah. Okay, he started transitioning out. All of his scores have gone up too. Started transitioning out. He goes to specials. When he goes to writing. Specials in writing. So again, we were able to push these kids out because their behaviors we almost have become to where we're almost just a tier 2, but maybe a tier 2.5, 2 3/4. But it allowed us to really start, and we've always really gotten into the academics, but it really has allowed us to do more. All right, and I'm not sure who asked the question about what's going on for next year or whatever, but our goal for next year is, now that we have these kids' behaviors pretty much in line, we start working back into curriculum. Sped's tough to get that in there, and we really want to start working back in. We've started doing that, and we want to get that back in so these kids are really even getting better and better and better. 5th grade, student on the left transitioned out he's pretty much just does check-ins too now. His behaviors are still kind of rocky, but the thing about him is, had an incident with him not too long ago. Wasn't really anything big, and he came up, apologized to me, apologized to Ms. G. The fact that the kid is apologizing and he's genuine about it now. It used to be just apologizing. Before that, he never apologized, and he's genuine about it now. It just shows the growth that kid has had by the support.
It's hard for them to accept their own behaviors, and it's especially hard to apologize.
Yes, and that's something I always try to say. It takes a good person to apologize. 5th grader on RAG transition tier 3 second quarter. She is getting ready to go to the middle school.
I added some discipline data in here as well because I like data and numbers. So Dr. Gegg and I kind of pulled some discipline on our tier 3 students from last school year versus this year. So you can kind of see the numbers of ISS from last year to this year, and the numbers are tremendously lower. They're doing a phenomenal job keeping those tier 3 kiddos out of ISS. The next slide, Dr. Taylor, is our OSS data. The numbers from last year were big, guys. 14, 32, 20. There were some manifestation meetings, things like that. We haven't seen that. These ladies and gentlemen have been doing a phenomenal job with the behaviors, and when I say phenomenal, they are rocking it. They're handling the behaviors, de-escalating them quickly, asking for help when they need it. So we don't see the OSS discipline as we have seen in the past. So I feel like the numbers kind of speak volumes right there.
And I just want to point out those higher numbers at the
On
end
the
are
end of
kids
it.
that
Can you
have
flip
been
that back
added
one?
Oh, yeah.
Dr.
due to
Taylor?
behaviors they've been added. into
Good
that
eye.
rate.
Yeah, we just got
Good
it. So we're still working on it. This kid right here is the one that has the most. He is very smart. He's already passed the honeymoon period in our classroom, and he's very smart. And he's doing really well. There was an escalation in the classroom today, not with him, but it was bothering him. And he very smartly got up, walked into the SS room, and he didn't let it influence him the way it would have if he was in the regular class setting.
But if you look at student K's numbers, 15 ISS this year and 3 OSS, that was the decision making that we used. Those are the numbers that we used to make the decision that this was a placement that really best suited.
He definitely needed the support.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
So give or take 11 kids in tier 3?
I'm sorry.
Give or take 11 kids in tier 3?
I think that's what's on our roster, right?
Yes.
It's
Started
not.
at 6, it went up to 11, I think it's back down to 10.
We kind of,
Somewhere around
it's in flux, but because of the way that we've been successful in them, truth be told, we have so many kids going out and coming in that there's never really, I think 7 maybe, if they're all in there at the same time, no, if they're all at the same time, it'd be 11. But it's 7 that are in there probably most of the day if they're not at one of their classes. So, yeah. Oh, and we should mention too, we have a phenomenal team. 2 of them are here because they're our paras, is Kirsten St. Clair and Aiden Boyer.
Huge shout outs for those guys.
They are, absolutely. Both of them are studying to become teachers, and you should hire them. Both of them.
She's absolutely right next to them.
Yeah.
So how do these kids do then once they go to the middle school?
But that we don't know yet. Yeah.
As far as the middle school transitions, we talked a lot about them and got them prepared for that next step. So one of our students, he leans on me a lot, and I was concerned about that when he goes up to the middle school. And so I talked to the middle school principals when I was in the IEP meeting and asked, who can we kind of direct that to, because he's going to need somebody once he gets up there, and he's going to need a space, if he needs a break. But I really feel like that setting is suited better for him than even an elementary setting. He's gifted, he's incredibly smart, and I feel like middle school is just going to be a better fit for him in the first place. And the other one was kind of an all-school half-day, plus she's going to be receiving her special services and special ed classes. So
Yeah.
it was all a very much a team decision. And middle school came down, we all discussed it.
We really wanted to get the 5th graders to be able to start going out to things, so they would get used to the idea of changing classes all the time. With one, he's gotten out. The other one,
It's been a struggle.
it's a struggle. Yeah.
We do try really hard at middle school because it's such a drastic change in scheduling and exposure to different adults, all of those things, and different environments. So we try really hard to give them a fresh start. So that was a lot of those conversations at those meetings, like how do we support them in our setting, because we don't have tier 2 and tier 3, so that's a piece. So we do try at the beginning, and then we'll have to get really creative and see what that looks like. But we've already put some of those pieces in place. And our current ISS room, we really reimagined this year, and we use it for a lot of similar strategies. So we're leaning in on that as well. So lots of in-depth conversations, so hopefully that transition is a really, really good one for them.
Sounds like it's done. I said it sounds like it's done.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been a good year. I mean, they've done really well, really exceptional.
Thank you.
Two years ago, we came to you all with a crazy idea about putting a program in place, taking over this program because these are our kids. We came to you with that idea because we had professionals coming to us saying we can do better. I agree with them. We could do better and we have done better. I'm so proud of this program and people that are part of it. And that's not just everybody you see here tonight. It takes a village for all of the kids in our buildings, but for kids who have the deck stacked against them or have dysregulation or, there are a variety of factors affecting them. It really, these programs have made a big impact and the professionals behind it are a key component to that. So I'd like to thank you all for having the foresight to approve those requests from those professionals.
Thank you so much for those updates. Thank you. Whatever, I mean, I'll have to hear it. Next we have the summer school calendar.
Summer school for 2026 is scheduled. We're going to cover Algebra 1 and Algebra 1.5, English 1 through 4, Personal Finance. The schedule is for first semester to run May 27th through June 12th, and for second semester to run June 15th to July 2nd.
Do you know how many students enroll in the personal finance for credit acquisition?
Typically, we have between 20 and 25 students that take advantage of that credit acquisition.
And it helps, I guess, with creating their own schedules, I guess.
Yeah, it gives them a lot more flexibility in their schedules to take it. So we've sent out our schedule creator form for our students to start building their schedule for next year. And we have a lot of students that are so engaged with looking at the master schedule and understanding their schedule and the process and the limitations. So by getting that out now, they can start planning for, okay, my schedule's not going to work with personal finance as a graduation requirement within the hours or the schematic that I want. So now I can start taking a look at taking that over summer. And I talked to Mr. Kreitler the other day, and he's sitting at 20 plus signups. Those don't always come to fruition as far as showing up, but traditionally we've been between 20 and 25.
And what grade is it be completed by, just by graduation or?
Yes, they can take that as from 10th grade until obviously their senior year, they can take that. And we do allow freshmen that have just completed their freshman year that are incoming sophomores to be eligible to take that for summer school.
Try to get all three of my kids to do it.
And it's just one of the, it's either they can take it the first semester or the second semester,
For personal finance?
or summer, if you take it in summer, yeah.
So personal finance is only offered during first semester.
Summer,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So it's right after school, okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 summer school calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Then we got the MSBA, full service agreement.
We've been pretty
changes approved during closed session will be provided in the draft meeting minutes within 72 hours of